Welcome to another edition of the 5-Star Zone. Special guest today, Evan Jenkins out. Mike Valenti.
Hello.
You see him all over the interweb.
Oh, yeah.
And I happen to do a show with him as well. Mike, I appreciate it.
You know why I'm here.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Let's get this out.
Just do it. Just do it. Let's get this done.
Scott Frost. God. This was Scott Frost's year.
It
according
is.
to Mike. And
To now get fired.
yeah.
To be so bad that they paid $7.5 million to get you gone. But wait, there's more. Here's $7.5 more to leave right the F now.
That tells me a lot of things. That tells me that basically, sadly, you're not thinking responsibly, at least fiscally, because now that's coach number 4 that you're paying money to.
Aren't they? I was going to say, aren't they still paying the previous 3?
Yes, they are. So now, rather than cut yourself some slack and wait 2 weeks, you did it now. I don't know why, because I guess you had to rally the troop for Oklahoma. Let's face it, you're probably not beating Oklahoma anyway. You're starting to look, when you start doing things for the people and for the crowd, you normally end up with the people in the crowd, meaning you get fired for doing bonehead moves. This was something that I thought Nebraska, I think we saw it coming, but yeah, when you lose the way that they lost to Georgia Southern, dude, Clay Helton walked in there, and
Yeah.
I mean, he showed you no mercy because he was that guy last year.
And they did it with Buffalo's old quarterback, Van Treese, who's not any good.
Yeah.
It's not like they got some, Power 5 transfer kid. I know Van Treese. Like, I've watched – I mean, I sound like a loser, but, he's not that good. He rolled in. They put up damn near half 100.
Yeah.
All I did was think of you, but you didn't text me, thank God. Because I'm like, what would I would read it. I just don't know that I have the heart to respond.
You know what? Because there was no point in taking a victory lap. I was at the Lions game when I found out
that he got canned.
When he lost the game, I mean, I'm sitting there chuckling, and I didn't know how late you had stayed up, but I thought it was funny. But as you know, I don't like taking victory laps. I figured I would save
it for 2 to 6.
I would save it, and then I'm at the Lions game, and Gator, I think, was like, "Hey, did you see this Scott Frost? He got fired." I'm like, he got fired. Jeez. I knew it was going to happen, but
it was one of those things, too, the way his era's gone. I mean, they have a chance to hit that field goal to just let him survive another week. I don't think there was a person in that building, a person on that sideline. Sure as hell, me sitting on my couch, not a person thought that was going in.
Yeah, now see, the problem comes with this. He was the favorite son who came home. He was supposed to fix this. He left UCF. He was undefeated, the fake national title. This goes to show you the difference between a good team and a good program. He had a good team. Didn't have a good program. He was new. They bought into the hype. He's going to bring this here to Nebraska. He didn't.
So what failed? Do you think it was why did it not? It's not even it didn't work. It was one of the most spectacular falls from grace we've ever seen that doesn't involve a scandal. So why did it go like this? I mean, this bad. You think he's just a paper tiger?
No, Mike, I think, unfortunately for Scott, sometimes coaches catch every break. Sometimes they don't. I hearken back to this. Mark D'Antonio runs Little Giants against Notre Dame. Mark D'Antonio was teetering. He wasn't the Mark D'Antonio Big Ten champion Rose Bowl.
No.
At that point, there were still people questioning whether or not this was the guy, or did Michigan State, go low and just get the cheapest guy. I've often said, if Little Giants fails and he loses to Notre Dame, running that fake field goal is an entirely different narrative. Scott Frost is the antithesis of that. Everything that could happen goes bad for him. You look at all the close games that this man has played, were they 7 points or less, 3 points or less? I mean, you look at the Michigan State game last year, he had it won.
They had no business losing that game.
And
none.
How many times? The Michigan game, he had no business losing that game. But they find ways to lose, and then it becomes a culture. It becomes a mindset in the program that I think players just expect the worst to happen. We know it here in football with SOL, same old Lions. You start believing, you know what, we can't win. And once players get to that point, it's hard to break them of it. Whereas, like I said, you look at a coach, D'Antonio caught the breaks, and then he was known for the trickeration, the trick plays. His team could go on the road and beat the ranked teams and do all of that stuff. Scott Frost couldn't get that done.
Like, the worst part too, I just thought they'd go 8-4. It's not like I said they win the West. It's not like I thought they win 10 games. I just thought, you know what? They'll get to 8-4, stabilize. Casey Thompson, I like quite a bit. The transfer from Texas. He's been good. Rico, from jump. That Northwestern game was unreal with the onside kick.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing. But here's my question. All right, he's gone. It's one of the most spectacular failures ever.
Wait. Oh, and the other thing, his other failure, 2 words for you.
Well,
Adrian Martinez.
I know.
He stuck with Adrian Martinez way too long, and I think that killed his career.
So here's my problem. Every program, and I mean, I've been guilty of it with our alma mater, whether you're a Buckeye, a Wolverine, everyone thinks their program has a cachet that probably doesn't have, to get a coach that probably has no interest in you. I have no idea where Nebraska turns. And everyone says, oh, well, hey, they'll just run out and hire Matt Campbell. What's Matt Campbell exactly? Do I need to remind you that Matt Campbell and the greatest ISU team ever woefully underachieved last year? Mm-hmm. What's Matt, like, let's say they hire Matt Campbell. What does that get you? What is Nebraska in 2022?
I think at that point, Matt Campbell is just a little bit of a lateral move. I think Matt Campbell, he's good at Iowa State. He's not great. He had a great year, but it's kind of like Scott Frost. He had a great year, but what is he really? You bought into Scott because he was the hometown kid. He led you to a national title. The person that I think best fits this, and I didn't even realize where he was at, but after I realized this, I'm like, this would work. The only thing that's going to hurt him is his age. It's Gary Patterson.
TCU. He's now a special assistant
at Texas.
Right.
And you saw his specialty all over the field. They stymied Alabama. Now Alabama won the game, but that Texas defense, except for the corner blitz that didn't happen, Alabama was they were having fits.
Can I offer you something? And I know when I say this, I'm going to get crucified, but work with me. Nebraska doesn't recognize what they are, right? The worst thing they did, I think expansion killed Nebraska. They lost their pipeline to Texas and California. They lost all their natural rivalries, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've bottomed out. There's no juice, and there doesn't seem to be a way to relevance in the Big Ten, right? Mm-hmm. Even if it's relevance in the West, there's no way you can do them catching Michigan, Ohio State. If you want to include Michigan State, Penn State, fine. Do I dare summon the name? You know who I'm thinking.
Urban Meyer?
I'm sorry. It's where my mind went to.
No, it is.
You can hide him there.
Now the question is this a job that Urban wants? Has Urban served his penance? I thought Urban was a bad fit in the pros, and people are just using this whole dance floor thing with the girl. I mean, let's be real. The coaches have done a lot worse and got second chances again.
Except coaches normally are on the team playing home.
Yeah.
That was a bad look.
It reminded me of Steve Spurrier when he was with the Redskins at the time.
But think about it. They got the stadium.
Right.
They have the fan base. The command of an audience. There's no pro team. They've got the money. I know that's the most sports radio thing I could say.
No, Mike, here's where it's not, because that was on my list of people as well. If you get Urban Meyer, you are now able to walk into Texas again. You can walk into California. That was the Nebraska. They would always get their O-linemen from just up the road, okay? They were bailing hay yesterday, and now they're left tackle.
There used to be, remember when there wasn't scholarship limitations? Kids would walk on at Nebraska instead of taking a scholarship from Iowa.
Yeah.
The old days when they were really rolling, pre-90s. I'm talking back in the 70s, the initial Nebraska phase. No, you're right, but those days are done now.
Right. But now you need somebody to be able to recruit Nebraska, because I think that was the other thing, that Scott Frost could not recruit Nebraska because they're not special. And Nebraska fans are just like us. They're still stuck in the days of Tom Osborne. Times have changed. Nebraska, everybody's on TV. There's nothing in Nebraska. So what are you going to sell a kid from Florida to make him not want to go to an SEC school, to not want to go to a Big Ten school, to go all the way out into the middle of Nebraska, Big Ten?
Here's the thing.
You're not even winning.
No, but with Urban, he arrived at Bowling Green. He gutted half the roster. He turned them around like that. He goes to Utah, does the same thing. He goes to Florida, does the same thing. He goes to Ohio State and under sanctions goes 12-0, loses in the Big Ten title game. It sounds insane, but if you look at the rest of that alleged list of Matt Campbell, maybe Gary Patterson, who, look, let's not forget, Gary Patterson got old and stale at TCU. And you just said it. Didn't you say, oh, well, his age might work against
62.
him? Okay. That doesn't inspire confidence. I'm being serious with you. If I'm Trev Alberts and I know I've got to get Husker Nation behind something, I can get a guy in here who's got rings. I can get a guy in here who just goes, hey, guys, it's no secret. NFL, my bad. And I'm back in school.
Well, yeah, Urban can convince kids from Texas and California to come back to Nebraska
and get them to the league.
That is as well. Now, the other name that I would go for, it's a famous name in that region, but would he leave his school?
What?
Mark Stoops. People know the name Stoops in that area from the years at Oklahoma. Stoops is, I mean, it's one of those names that in the Bible Belt, you know, is Stoops.
Here's the thing I have a hard time with Stoops on. He's done a great job at Kentucky. He has.
You get out of the SEC.
There's the key. There's a ceiling on what they can do in the East. They're never catching Georgia. Tennessee seems to be on its way back. Florida, week to week now, apparently. But if you go to Nebraska, the Big Ten West, I mean, Rico, Wisconsin, I mean, they dumped a game to a bad Wazoo team. Right. The Paul Chryst thing's got to end. Iowa, do we really need to go there? They set 166 yards of offense last week. Hold my beer. We can outdo that. 150 this week.
They've yet to score double figures.
Right. That program's a mess. Purdue's Purdue. Burt at Illinois, fine. But I get where you're going with it is I get into the Big Ten. We get a great TV deal. There's going to be a ton of money. I don't have to compete with nobody in state. I am the show.
Right.
I get it.
I can use my last name. Stoops, you could walk into high schools around there and you're Stoops. Oh, yeah.
I just don't know.
And, I mean, right now, Mike, you know who the favorite to win the Big Ten West is? Your boy, PJ Fleck in Minnesota.
And
the Barber.
And they are the least dynamic. I mean, they are a snooze.
Right.
So, yeah, I get it. Again, I don't know Mark Stoops. I don't know how he would feel about leaving the SEC. It just means more. I don't know.
And see, that's just it. Does he want because right now, let's face it, Kentucky is finally kind of cracked a little bit of the ceiling, but the ceiling's there.
Do you know what Mark Stoops is doing in Kentucky reminds me of, since this is a Big Ten podcast? You got to go way back. Remember Glenn Mason at Minnesota?
Yeah.
Every year, they had established what Minnesota football is about. We're going to run that zone, that stretch. We're going to mix in a little speed option. We're going to be physical. We're going to win 8 or 9 games, and we're going to put people in the pros. They were never going to win the Big Ten. Never. But they were going to compete. They'd pick somebody off every year, and Minnesota decided that's not good enough for us. And then they went.
Sounds like Nebraska with Bo Pelini.
Exactly. So, no, but I'm saying
the
Stoops thing, I've seen it in the Big Ten before. I don't know if Nebraska's going to be happy getting to 9-3. Well, it'll be happier.
Right. But
they want to win the Big Ten.
Think about it. Bo Pelini got fired for going 9-4 too many years.
But didn't he give up like 100 points to Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game or something? That was them, right? They gave up like 70.
Was that him?
I gotta look it up. I'll look it up. But I'm telling you, it was bad. But look, I don't know what you do. I think Nebraska's marketable based on it still is a brand, albeit kind of a brand that's a little stale. The West is so easy, but what happens with conference realignment? You could take the job. The West could be no more. They could get rid of divisions.
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
And I'm going to say this first, Mike. I don't think that the conference realignment, I don't think it's going to be what it is. I don't know if USC and UCLA ever make it out to the Big Ten.
I agree with you.
UCLA got invited to the Big Ten, except for the Big Ten forgot to call the parents.
Right.
They forgot to call Cal and run this past them.
The expanded playoff takes away a lot of the motivation to leave.
Yeah.
You can, if there's 12 seats at the table, I'm Lincoln Riley, I'm USC, I could sit out here and run this deal. Right. I'm in Oregon, might be fine under Dan Lanning. UW to me has to just have some stability. They've been going through coaches, and I think the board can do a nice job there. But you're right, Rico, I don't know if they ever play a game in the Big Ten. And look, if the West remains the way it remains, that might be the job's biggest selling point. You can come here, you can have more talent than all of your opponents. And yeah, you're going to have a tough hill to climb if you get to the Big Ten title game. You're not going to beat OSU, Michigan, Michigan State probably. But step one is I can go out, I can get to a conference title game, and I can rebuild this thing.
See, the thing for me is I don't even think Nebraska was they're still feeling like the stepchild. They've never been accepted in the Big Ten.
Because none of us ever wanted them.
I mean, Penn State is kind of growing on people, but Nebraska is so far out there that you forget that they're there. You think Iowa, and then the Big Ten ends after Iowa. No, you still go 7 more hours, and there's Nebraska.
Dude, the sad part is I want Nebraska to be good. I think college football is more fun when they're good. But the problem,
but I don't think college football remembers. To me, it's
fair.
like Tennessee. It was like when Tennessee was rolling in the checkerboard, and Peyton Manning and Smokey the Dog and all of that. I mean, that was a house of horrors.
I like Tennessee.
They made orange a terrifying color, and now
it's still so pretty.
All right, but it's Tennessee.
Those creamsicles out there against Pitt Saturday,
right.
I was loving it.
It's just
love it.
You lose that luster, and that, like UCLA. Yeah, nobody goes to their games anymore.
Did you see the crowd against Bowling Green?
Did.
I know we're kind of all over the place here, but
that's okay.
You get us waxing about college football. This is what happens. So, all right, here's my question with them. Where does he rank all time of the, quote, perfect hires? The ones that the media are like, home run, grand slam, nobody could write a negative thing. Like the last perfect hire we remember is Harbaugh going to Michigan. That was the grand slam. That was the guy. That was the deal. He's in that category. Where does Scott Frost rank amongst those hires in the biggest disaster arena? I mean, is he number one? Minus a scandal. No Mike Price, the tide is rolling, baby.
See, Mike Price was my number one.
No.
Roll Tide, baby. Roll Tide.
No. You know, Rich.
George O'Leary.
Well, he lied about a resume. Right. I'm talking a guy who gets hired, doesn't do anything crazy, doesn't get all bombed or do something silly.
I think my top 3 then would be Scott Frost. Harbaugh redeemed himself last year.
He saved himself.
Yeah. I would still go Rich Rodriguez. Rich Rodriguez was the coach. He had turned down Alabama the year before.
Yep.
People were in bidding wars for him. Michigan got him. He was going to get Terrell Pryor to come to Michigan.
You remember that story where he allegedly called Pryor before calling his team at West Virginia to tell him he was leaving?
Yeah. Had he got Terrell Pryor, things would have been different. Had he bring his defensive coordinator, had he not parked in Lloyd Carr's parking spot.
How about if the university had gotten behind him and given him the money to hire Chuck Castile?
How about, because here's the thing, for people who always bash Rich Rod he tried to do with Michigan what Ohio State ended up doing with Urban Meyer. They went to a spread offense. They ditched the whole 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Ohio State is still reaping the benefits of that. Yep. Michigan still trying to do 3 yards in the cloud of dust, as you see. You can have the quarterback battle all you want. Harbaugh wants to run that ball.
Yeah, I think the one thing for me is Michigan still has dynamic elements of their offense. I still think they can go vertical. They've got playmakers. I like the wide receiver.
No, they can, but that's not where the coach wants to go.
No.
That's why your coordinator's down in Miami right now, because Gaddis was like, you know what? What am I doing here? Even though he was the coordinator of the year, you don't see that often. I'll also have to put the reformed Lane Kiffin going to Tennessee. Remember, he had learned his lesson. Oh, my God. The Lane train is going to open up, and this thing's going to happen.
Do you remember that weird speech he gave when he took the job? And it sounded like he was reading off a cue card, and he's like, and we're going to beat Florida and sing Rocky Top all night long. And I'm like, wait, did he just get up there and say they're beating Florida in year one? I mean, no one has fallen upwards in life more than Lane Kiffin. It's unbelievable.
Young and talented. And then he goes and hangs out with Saban again. And he gets, here's Ole Miss for you. Here's your third job.
He's where he needs to be. You can hide in Oxford, Mississippi, and you can be weird, and you can do lots of stuff, and they'll tolerate it. All right. So what else with Scott Frost? Am I done?
You're done.
Am I done?
You're done.
All right.
Hopefully
it was a bad take.
Now I wonder, does he end up at Alabama?
Oh, in the rehab program?
Yeah.
I think this is like Charlie Weiss at Kansas. You don't rehab your way from that. I think eventually Scott disappears. Maybe does TV.
Oh, man. I think Scott's young enough. He's picking up the phone, Nick.
He's going to be coaching high school football.
Nick, I need help. I need help. I saw what you did for everybody else.
Man.
I confess my sins. I need help.
He needs
I got a problem.
He needs to go to like Ecuador for about 5 years and let people forget
Mike,
about what this was.
You go to Kiffin went to rehab twice. Go down to Alabama, become an analyst of something. Oh, you know who else?
What?
Speaking of Alabama and analysts and all that,
What, Sark?
Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien knows the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Actually, he knows the NFL.
There's a lot of grumbling down there about Bill O'Brien. I know they played in the national title game, and yes, if Jameson Williams doesn't get hurt, they may win it. A lot of people weren't happy with his offense last year. If you look at it now, like this narrative now, oh, well, Alabama doesn't have speed at wide receiver. Really? How many teams would trade their wide receiver room for Alabama's?
Huh?
So my point would be, I don't know if Billy O has got a whole lot going on there.
But maybe that's why Billy O gets out before you pull back the curtain and see what he really is. The key is you don't want to – if you go to Alabama as an assistant, 2 years, you get an apartment, not a house. Like Juan Gonzalez, apartment. You're an apartment.
You're on that internship program.
Right. Before people figure out what you really are, another name to watch out for. So, Mike.
Scotty, I'll miss you.
Appreciate it. You can hear Mike. Mike, get everybody everything.
Cash the ticket. Anywhere you get your podcasts, all your betting angle stuff. Rico gives you the nitty gritty and really gets into the Big Ten. We try to give you the bets and the lovely angles there, and then kick off with Boomer and Valenti. NFL coverage every Friday that drops. So it's all there. And then Rico and I every day, 2 to 6. So all right, are we good? Hey man, Tombstone stays. I ain't getting rid of it. That's a take I got to live with.
Maybe
all you needed to do was go 8-4.